Not all Sherpas are climbers, and certainly not there to just carry your stuff, so to speak. And I share that because over the years, I learned not only about the Sherpa community and kind of the meaning, but I've gotten to know one Sherpa in particular who I've built a friendship with over the last 20 years. As I mentioned, his name is Karma Sherpa. We have been in touch since that time. We met in 1998, and then he moved to Boulder, Colorado, over 15 years ago, where just this last week, his home that he and his wife and two young children live in was destroyed by the recent fires.
Oh,
And completely destroyed. So they're in a hotel right now. They're trying to figure out a place to go, to stay with the kids. And I set up a GoFundMe page, which hopefully, Paul, you can put on the screen here or link in the comments, and trying to help raise some money for Karma and his family to be able to move forward. And it's interesting, it's obviously heartbreaking to see a tragedy like this. But I will say that it's remarkable. I spoke to Karma a couple of days ago, and he is just like, he continues to amaze me with his positivity, which I know is a lot about what, Paul, your audience appreciates. He continues to teach me about, staying positive, moving forward, recognizing that things constantly change in the world, understanding the importance of, safety and family much more than possessions and material things. And he's an inspiration. And so I want to help him. And if others can help, that would be great.
Hi, Paul Sackett, Good News Planet. I'm here with Lee Nadler. Hey, Lee, how are you?
I'm great. Good to see you again, Paul.
So excited I can't speak because I know Lee a real long time. You see that little thing on his chest there? It says the Ad Club. And so I met Lee at the Ad Club when we were really focused on our multicultural advertising and marketing company way back in 1985. And the Ad Club was the premier, and still is the premier organization, of which I just heard good news about. Lee. He's the chairman of the board now, to have good quality advertising, have good, honorable people in the industry, to learn about the latest and the greatest and the most important things that people need to know, and mentoring. They have tremendous program. You couldn't get a better testimonial than somebody like me. They really care, and they've done such good work. So that's that. To follow that, Lee is that kind of a guy. He should be the chairman of the board, because we're going to now talk about something that he's been involved with for many years, are friends, and how he wants to help his friends who've lost their home in Colorado. And he knows them a long time from Nepal or whatever he'll tell us. And Lee, go ahead. Thank you for getting on.
Oh, thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. So I met a gentleman when I was in Nepal in 1998. So this goes back for a while.
That's when we started Good News.
Yeah. I love these long lasting relationships as I have with you. And in 1998, I went to Nepal for the first time with a nonprofit group called Outward Bound that I was supporting.
Wow, yeah.
And I met a young gentleman by the name of Karma Sherpa. And I had no idea what a Sherpa was at the time, but I later learned that Sherpas are a group of people who migrated from Tibet about 500 years ago. Many people in the West here maybe think that Sherpa just means a vocation, like we'll carry your stuff up the mountain. Sure, S-H-E-R actually means east, and P-A are people. So it's people from the East who migrated from Tibet. Many of the Sherpas then lived in the higher regions of the Himalayas, where when we Westerners came over, to climb Mount Everest, found the Sherpas to be very helpful and also acclimated with the altitude, which is how they kind of got known for the profession of mountaineering.
Wow, this is a beautiful story, very positive, uplifting. It is that Lee Nadler is a serious dude, guy, and a good friend for somebody. And so, what is it about? I'm going to ask you some, if you don't mind, personal things, if you don't mind. What is it about this family? I'll say, is it the family or is it the one gentleman? What is it about the family that attracted you since 23 or 24 years ago? What was it that happened there? And was it Nepal? And has maintained friendships are so important in life. I mean, they're the utopia. If I didn't have my friends during this COVID time, I'll tell you right now, in addition to be a sad sack, I would have been a bigger sad sack. So I talk to them every day. Are you okay? Are you okay? What are you doing? I'm tired of being home, whatever it is. What is it about you and him? What do you love about him? I'll even throw the word love out there.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I certainly know the family now, but when I first met Karma Sherpa, it was just him. He was in his early 20s at the time, and he was from a small village in Nepal, and we spent a couple of weeks together. I was on an expedition. We were going through the foothills of Everest, and while we weren't trying to summit, it was definitely a struggle. And for someone like myself and some of the others who aren't acclimated, and I saw something in Karma and the Sherpa people that I wanted to hold on to. And I boil it down to a couple of things. One is they were singing through the struggle. And it was such a lightning bolt for me, recognizing, how, as you kind of just alluded to, we can kind of get caught up in we can say agita to maybe this group, but, and complaining and this and that. And it's one thing to try to put things in perspective, which I think we all have to be reminded to do from time to time. But it's another thing to sing through the struggle and actually allow yourself into the process to be more present and to kind of move forward, recognizing that this is part of it, and if you're able to kind of look around, and eventually I kind of got to that place during the trek, and it just became much more magical for me. And I've tried to take that experience back into everyday life here in New York City and in, the crazy world of business and marketing and so forth. The other thing that I learned and I've tried to hold on to, and I appreciate you recognizing, our friendship and my approach, is there's a very unique balance that the Sherpa people showed me between power and humility. And this is something our world needs more of. If you look at our leaders and the way people kind of push, things forward through power, and positions and so forth. But humility is now needed more than ever. And the Sherpa people were the most powerful and humble people I've ever met. And it was something I wanted to hold on to, and I won't take too much time with this story, but when I came back
I love when people, first of all, share this, because unfortunately, and we're media guys, the media doesn't focus on this. We might have a CBS Sunday Morning, and we might have but it's handpicked, and we might have the last story of the news. But this is really what, we believe that most of the world's at peace. But it's a hard comment for anybody to hear, because they'll say, wait, are you kidding me? So but whatever. The fact is, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't. So please share what you want. Would love to.
Oh, thanks. So, it was very interesting when I left Nepal to come back to the US. I wanted to hold on to the spirit of what I felt. I didn't really understand it, to be honest, but I knew it was something I didn't want to let go of. And I ended up changing my title and eventually starting a company that I now run called Sherpa Marketing. And for me, it was a way to hold on to that spirit and that feeling and keep reminding myself. As a marketer, it also is a good analogy for trying to reach a summit of success, as I call it, and so forth. But it eventually led to Karma and myself reuniting years later. Because when I went back to the US, Karma and I lost touch for almost 10 years. He was in a small village in Nepal, and I was, back in New York at the time. I was working for a company called DoubleClick, and then I went on to head up an agency called Digital Pulp, and then started Sherpa Marketing. And this is a crazy but true story. I ended up starting to write a blog that you can still find today. It's at thesherpapath.com. And the day I started writing the blog, which is 10 years after I first went to Nepal in 1998, I was writing about meeting Karma and what I could learn and what others could learn from the Sherpa people and what's the Sherpa spirit about and so forth. And I was writing on an airplane where I was going to see a client. When the plane landed, I had a voicemail like everyone, you run to your phone and so forth. And the voicemail, which again, 10 years after I first went to Nepal, no communication until that moment where the voicemail said, "Lee, this is Karma. I finally found you."
Wow. I call these things miracles.
Yeah. Now, I don't know about anything and also as an ad guy, I can't write a better line than that. "Lee, this is Karma. I finally found you." And so I called him back and found out he was in Colorado, and I went out to see him right away. And we ended up going back to Everest together.
Wow.
In 2012, I spent a month at Everest. I interviewed different Sherpas and climbers. So all this you could see on the sherpapath.com. And Karma and I have been in touch every month ever since.
Wow. Lee, if you like, you can have a channel on Good News with all your Sherpa stuff, because that's all, I'm sure, fitting for what we are working towards promoting. So,
well, thank you. The time it came back up recently is, in March of last year when COVID hit. I was trying to figure out how to help others, from my own living room and so forth. And you've been doing this for a long time, with your amazing broadcast and using digital broadcasting. But I decided to do what I call the Sherpa sessions, and it was Karma and myself talking. And all of those are up on the sherpapath.com, where I really just kind of talked to Karma, and he shared some of the philosophies of the Sherpa people about how to stay positive during life-threatening situations, which you certainly experienced at Everest, and we were all fearing, and some unfortunately were subjected to the coronavirus in ways that devastated people and families. And so Karma, and through our discussions, I think, help shed a light on helping people move forward.
Wow, Lee, that's just beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'd love to meet him. I'd love to interview him. This is beautiful stuff. Let me ask you one last question. I thank you for taking all this time with us and sharing your, I'd say your soul. Last question. What is peace for Lee Nadler? What's peace for you?
What is peace?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great question. Peace, I find peace every morning, which is the good news. So every morning I have a routine. I've been doing it for years, and then I've added to it actually since the beginning of COVID, and I love it. And again, maybe your viewers can take a piece of it, no pun intended. But so I created a meditation. I tried to meditate for years. I couldn't find a practice that worked for me, but I created one. It uses the acronym Sherpa, SHERPA. Can do it in under 5 minutes. I do it multiple times a day, but I always do it in the beginning of my day before the phone goes on and before coffee, which I covet. And it helps to provide me just a sense of peace, as you said, walking through the steps of Sherpa. It starts with S, which is shh, and H is here, which is to be here and be present. I do this with my eyes closed and I breathe through it. E is experience. So I actually experience what I'm feeling on my body. It usually helps me to sit up straighter as well, but again, makes me more present. R is realize. And realize for me is that perspective shift. And this is probably what gives me the most peace, but it's sometimes I take myself back to a moment in the tent at Everest when I was having trouble breathing and I was very fearful. And I realized, I calmed myself down and I realized that I could get through more than I realized, and that small problems, so to speak, are to be put in perspective, because in a life-threatening situation, you realize what's scary versus some of our annoyances. And then the P stands usually for purpose and positivity, but I like your additive of peace. So perhaps I'll work that into the practice as well. And then A is for action. I think of one action that I could take as I'm about to open my eyes that's going to help me move toward my purpose. And I open my eyes, and that little session right there gives me peace. And then I move on to journaling, which I do every morning, again, before the phone. This time I do have my coffee with that. And then I start my day.
Lee, I usually, I say thank you and that's it. But I want to ask one more thing, because I think you have tremendous knowledge to share with others. And I'm going to ask this, if you care to share. To do these kinds of things, I'm a certified yoga instructor. I'm an interfaith minister. You don't know a lot of the later things that I've been involved with, but the point in yoga is pranayama. It's all about the breathing. So. But what I am so happy that we're talking is that you have something that my daughter's husband keeps telling to me in the process of me trying to get healthier and losing weight and not running around so much. You have discipline. I'm going to use that word, okay? Tell me what you think about that, because, we have aspirations to do. And, this is a new year. We're talking the first couple of days of 2022. And the gyms might fill up and the food might not be as much in the refrigerator. We do things. How are you able to, you have a routine that I sense you're very disciplined or responsible to. How did you get that inside of you?
Yeah. Well, I think two things. One, I do think part of what I learned about discipline and kind of taking that step-by-step approach, I did learn from the Sherpa approach, and literally doing it on a mountain, for hours and hours each day, and sticking with it and recognizing that it's the next step. But I think probably more importantly, and I think you have to find, back to your question, like, does it bring you peace or joy, right? I look forward to that in the morning. Like, that's my time. And the reason I say before the phone is because that's one of the only times during our crazy days where, like, this is my time to think and reflect and express. And it's so important to do that before whatever's coming in from the outside. And so I enjoy it. To me, that's not a hardship. It's I'm grateful for that time. So I think the discipline, sometimes we do things that are hard and annoying, and I'm like everybody else. I don't eat all that I should. And, some days I exercise stronger than others, but I think when you find something that gives you back that positivity, you want to lean into that and make it a routine that doesn't get interrupted by the world.
Okay, fantastic. Give us the two give us the GoFundMe and then your blog and whatever else you want to share.
Yep. So the SherpaPath.com is the blog, and the GoFundMe, I think we'll have to put in a URL because it has some crazy URL. But if you go to GoFundMe, I guess, and it's Karma-Sherpa-Family-Home-Destroyed is the URL, but GoFundMe.com, Karma-Sherpa-Family-Home-Destroyed. And I hope we can raise some money to help Karma, and I'm sure it will bring you and your viewers good karma to do so.
I was thinking the same word to end it with. You're a beautiful guy, Lee. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Paul.